Hello. Welcome to the Tenters channel. Welcome. And before I even proceed, this is super important. Just click yes. They don't charge, please. They're not going to do that to you anything. Just click the subscription button right below the video. Yes, if you're at YouTube, click it and just click the notification bell. Share this video with others. Share, and give me feedback by reason of your comment. Today, what are we doing? We're going straight to the point. 10 lies that the modern man uses to deny God. 10 lies or 10 untruths that the modern man relies on to deny the existence of God. Mostly, when you hear people talking about the existence of God being a fallacy, they are relying on one of these things. We're going to talk about all of these 10 reasons that they usually cite, and we are going to see the lies that they are, that there's no truth in them. So that if anybody presents such a thing to you as a reason not to serve God, you can um, actually rebuff it in its entirety. The first reason people normally cite, and usually we hear this from those in the developed part of the world, is that um, everything about, the universe is known. How it came into being is known. Therefore, it's no God created it and the rest. And they say this thing with so much certainty, as though that the knowledge of the universe that they expressing is also certain. Please, let me tell you without fear of equivocation. The universe is so vast that there are many parts that are now unknowable because they cannot even be explored. We cannot even study. In fact, some of the closest planets to us in the solar system are billions. I didn't say millions, I said billions of kilometers away. Just some of the closest planets alone are billions of kilometers away. In fact, the universe is so vast that our little solar system, there are several other systems like that form a galaxy, and that our galaxy is known as the Milky Way. It's like our neighborhood is known as the Milky Way. In fact, the furthest, the furthest any man-made object has gone beyond is just an object that was sent years ago, decades ago, I think the 70s or so, that has now gone to the edge of our solar system. That's as far as man has gone in terms of our knowledge of um, the universe. And then we have the Hubble telescope, which is also in space. That is also taking pictures of space, moving around space. And in fact, we are barely out of our bedroom when it comes to exploring the universe. And remember, our sun, our sun is moving through also the Milky Way, and it takes 200 million years to go through just our Milky Way alone as it moves around. You know, I mean, there's so much complexity in the universe that is mind-boggling, actually. So the universe has not been deciphered by anybody, neither is it known thoroughly by anyone, in spite of all the billions that have been spent studying it. And the ones we have studied are just a little. Are you aware that when humans talk about how much humans have advanced, that it's only some few countries that have sent people even to space? That's just the space above our atmosphere. It's not even to Mars. Only one country has sent men to Mars, to the moon, not even Mars. And only one country has sent a probe to Mars. That is the US. Yes, of A. One country out of all the 200 countries we have in the world. So this notion of a certain knowledge of the universe which excludes God is a fallacy because we don't know jack about the universe. It's so vast. We have not even started studying it in the proper sense of studying. Actually, it's beyond our comprehension. There are there are stars that are so far that it take 20 light years before it gets to us. That is, it takes light traveling at the speed. It takes um, uh, light coming traveling with the speed of light 20 years to get here. Imagine the distance. You know, we are talking about 300. Hmm, it's mind-boggling, mind-boggling. So it is not true that the universe is known, and for which reason it's been proven that it came out of a big bang or it just is expanding and there's no one behind it. That knowledge is not certain. That knowledge has not even begun. Actually, we don't have a clue. So anybody who says the universe is certainly from a big bang is just speculating. It's a theory. It has not been proven by anyone, neither has it been made certain by any form of experiment whatsoever. So that's the first lie that people tell themselves. Oh, we know everything about the world, we know everything about the universe. We know God has no part in it. No, nobody knows anything about the universe. It's far beyond people's ability to know. We have not even sent any telescope deep enough into space to study what it entails. And there are so many variables that we still don't understand in space. Okay, I've spent so much time on this one. The number two lie that the modern man tells himself to deny the existence of God is that, I mean, human beings have so advanced that, I mean, there's so much technology. It was in the days of folly, it was in the days of antiquity, it was in the days of, of a lack of progress that people relied on an entity called God. That it was because human beings lacked technology that we attributed anything of technology even to spirits and to angels and the rest. In fact, some have gone as far as saying that many of the things we say are miracles and the rest must have been the deeds of some advanced civilization. What a funny world. Indeed. But let me put your mind at rest, dear viewer, that the technology they talk about, they are still ancient technology exhibited in Egypt that people still cannot understand. Technology that even in modern times we still find difficulty replicating. In ancient time, 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. In fact, the technology we talk about, according to the UN, almost half of the world does not have access to a basic thing like the internet. And there are several other hundreds of millions of people who have no access to even electricity. So some few people's knowledge of the universe of technology has been made to appear like everybody knows technology and therefore we are so advanced as a species. No, you're talking about a few people. Actually, you can go to places like Europe where you can have 80% coverage in the internet. Even that one, what knowledge is being placed there? Actually, somebody said that I agree that since the 1960s, there hasn't been any major discovery. It's just the fine tuning of discoveries that have already been um, existent since the 1960s. You know, many of the things you see now and think are modern technology were secret projects in the 60s, the internet, ATMs, all of those tech, satellites, rockets, all of those things we call modern tech were actually already known, patented, or something in the 60s. Man is just innovating, just making them, fine tuning them, and the rest. So technology has not really increased to any massive degree as to kill God in any way, shape, or form. So that's number two. There's it's a complete lie for anyone to say technology has advanced to the point where God has become necessary. There are many, many, many diseases that cannot be cured. In fact, most of the major diseases around the world, the four top killer diseases in the world, are only managed, they are not cured. You know, the person is just made to live with the sickness. How can that be an advanced technology? Actually, several things that we only live with. and more diseases are coming up without even cure. So we have not gotten a handle of technology to a point where God has become obsolete and unnecessary. That's another lie. That's lie number two. Lie number three. They say that human beings used to think about demons and spirits because we were not having access to healthcare. But the Bible itself says that we follow demons in the way because we feared we would die. And as of that, we sought help from spirits. They are saying such is not necessary, really, because now healthcare is universal. Please let me bust that bubble. Indeed, according to the UN, almost half of the world lack access to healthcare. I didn't say they have some access. I didn't say they have some less sophisticated. I said they have no access at all. So out of the 7 billion, almost 8 billion people, half of us don't even have access to healthcare at all. And those who have the healthcare, in fact, 100 million fall into poverty because of healthcare. In fact, fall into a state where they cannot pay for healthcare. In other words, there are very few people that really have access to healthcare. Now, when we go into the even those who have access to the healthcare, why are they mortuaries in hospitals? Because the system is letting you know that there are many things they cannot cure. There are many diseases they cannot cure. There are several conditions that are incurable. They're not even manageable. So human being has not gotten the hang of health to be able to say that every health condition is curable, manageable, or is without spirit, or is without intervention of any external being. Because there are many sicknesses that we have given names to, but we have no clue as to how they operate and how to manage or even cure them. So the idea that man is so sophisticated that man can handle any form of sickness and therefore God is not in the picture, that there's no need to pray for anyone. There are studies that have been done in the US that prove that people who have a belief in a God, they recover when they go to hospital. They have a better chance of going back home than those who do not. So the idea that healthcare is now totally in the hands of man is also another serious untruth. And if anybody is going to rely on that to deny God, then that person is actually on the wrong track. So that's the third lie. And then the fourth lie is another important one, and it's a funny one. Um, is that knowledge has increased around the world, and that there's so much knowledge has increased around the world. It's true, there's knowledge. In fact, it used to take almost 100 years for knowledge to double around the world. 100 years, actually. And then when we got into the 20th century, by 1945, knowledge was doubling every 25. What do I mean by knowledge was doubling? That is that the things man has had discovered and documented. That's what I mean. And documented for posterity. The documentation, the discovery, study, discovery, and documentation was doubling in terms of volume every 25 years. Our knowledge has so much increased that knowledge is now doubling every 12 hours. There is absolutely no doubt that knowledge has increased massively about many things. But the thing that Solomon said, because which is great, he said, much study brings weariness. Why am I saying this? Because the more man has studied, the more man has discovered things that they have no knowledge about. It's like there's this endless bottom, endless pit that you fall into in your quest for knowledge. You only find out more about small things, and you realize that there are other more things you have little knowledge of, and you keep going and going and going. Therefore, no man has discovered any knowledge which has made God irrelevant. There's no such knowledge, it doesn't exist anywhere. That nobody has discovered any secret of life which has made God irrelevant, which has made Jesus and the rest a fable, which has made God the imagination of a certain group of people. It doesn't exist, has never happened. Don't let anybody convince you of such, actually, because such a knowledge does not exist. Though the knowledge is doubling, only few people have access to this knowledge. That's what I said, that more than half of the world don't even have access to this knowledge in terms of education, in terms of internet. So if somebody tells you that knowledge has so abounded that God does not need to exist, it's also another untruth. That is the fourth one. And the fifth one, an interesting one, is that um, but people say that no, some time ago people used to say God has given us some time to live, has given us 70 years. If you are fortunate, then you get 80 years. But it was all because man did not know the germ theory. And because we didn't know the germ theory, we used to think that sicknesses were caused by demons and spirits and the rest. But now that we know better, we know the sicknesses are caused by germs, bacteria, and some other infections and the rest. Our knowledge of the germ theory has not made us immortal. No, not a single person in the world has even lived to 200 years in modern times. Not a single person has lived to 200 years. Remember, Adams and the rest, they lived to 800 and above, some even 900 years, Methuselah. That was even the beginning. Man discovered germ theory. Man discovered hospital, antiseptic, and man still cannot live to even 150 years. So that knowledge of germ theory has not made us immortal. It has not dismissed what God said. Indeed, if you check life expectancy around the world, and this one is a very serious average, because there are countries, even in Africa and other places, where life expectancy is still below 50 years. Sometimes, even in times of war, it's around 45. So, this is just an extreme average with many outliers. Indeed, life expectancy around the world, according to WHO, World Health Organization, has increased so much over the past decade. Has increased though, but it has increased to around from 68 cities now thereabouts to around 73.4 years. So true to the words of Jehovah, that man has been given 70 years and sometime a little above, maybe another 10 years. Still, in spite of our technological advancements, still averagely, man is still living below 80 years. Hallelujah. The Bible is true indeed. In spite of all that we say, man is still living below, averagely below 80 years. Because that is what, according to the psalmist, God has given mankind to be the peak of our life expectancy. So don't let anybody tell you that, well, there are very few places, Okinawa, few places in the world where there are so many, centenarians and the rest. But even that one, they are just a drop in the ocean compared to the general population. People are still dying and dying young. Seriously. So when God said that it's appointed to man to die once and after death judgment, men are still dying, and they are not dying after living for 300 years or the rest. They are dying below 80. Even for the places with the best health facility, they are dying around 80 because that's what the word of God says. So that is number five. That's number five. So that is the first five set of reasons, apart from the 10, from the 10 reasons or lies, 10 lies that the modern man uses to deny God. And I've mentioned they use the extensive knowledge of the universe, which is false. Number two, access to technology, increased access to technology, which is not wholly true. And then access to modern health facility, which is also just half truth, and then increase in knowledge, which is also not really true, and then number five, increase in life expectancy. Today, you've heard the word of God, young man, young woman, mother, father, listening to me. You've realized that somebody is lying to you. Science, though is good for us, has not made any breakthrough discoveries which has made God unnecessary. Man is still trying to find our way around this world. We know very little about it. Though knowledge is doubling every 12 hours, we still know very little about the earth that we are in and are managing many situations instead of curing them. The cure, therefore, is with the Lord that made us. And it is only He that answers that are satisfactory and can last a lifetime. Go to the scriptures, go back to the Bible, because it is only authority when it comes to knowledge on this earth. And everything we need can be found there, because it's only Jesus that can save. Give your life to Christ if you have not done so, and remain blessed if you are born again Christian. Hold on to your God, for nothing else will suffice. Nothing else matters. God bless you even as you watch part one of 10 lies the modern man uses to deny God. God bless you and join me in part two. God bless.